First time, no, I'm not, no dilly, no dally zone. So I'm going to bring Scott in. Scott Wells from Gardner-Webb, Asheville City. First and foremost, Scott, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'm safe, thankfully, and like a lot of other people, my family's safe. My wife's family in Asheville has now been accounted for. So, considering everything, we are okay. Thank you.
I'm going to take everybody through this and your family's part, and I mean that, blood and extended with Gardner-Webb and everybody up there in Western North Carolina. What was it like going through Helene? Where were you? Where was your family? Where were you bunkered down?
Yeah, so I live in Spartanburg, which is about 35, 40 minutes away from Gardner-Webb's campus. So, we woke up to obviously no power, to a lot of trees outside the house. One that just kind of missed my son's bedroom window. And funny enough, we actually had power in the house, but service on our phones. So we were able to contact a couple of people, but as time was going on, we were panicking more and more of the people we couldn't get hold of. But again, at that moment, you don't really know the severity of everything, So was able to get hold of some of the support staff at Gardner-Webb and figure out the damage that had been done. And again, a lot of power lines down, a lot of trees down. Some of our facilities had been, the benches had been destroyed and the gates around the field had been destroyed. But overall, just extremely lucky on campus at Gardner-Webb. And then we sort of started to turn to Asheville, my wife's family, Asheville City family. So many people out there, Mick at UNC Asheville. And that's when the panic button started to hit because we couldn't get hold of anybody for a long time. And it was extremely worrying.
Yeah, and we've been fortunate where we caught up with Mick and Andy McNabb. We caught up with them a couple days ago. And full disclosure to everyone who might be drifting in for the first time, I have wanted to turn the morning show as best we can into a place where we can catch up with everybody, where we can share, okay, I'm okay, I need to send out a call, I need to catch up, I need to find so-and-so, I need to do this, wherever we can. And that's why I wanted to add you to the list of folks that we needed to catch up with and get updates and find out how things are, because Asheville, and I, full disclosure, I turn to my left, I've got the Big 55 on, and it's been on the Weather Channel for about a week. And I've been trying to keep up with everything there. How difficult has it been for you, and how much of a challenge has it been for you to catch up with everybody after the fact, and how difficult still is it to try and keep up with everybody?
Yeah, I think it was one of the first times in my life, and again, it sounds terrible, and I said this on social media the other day about how, we've been impacted individually by the Association of Asheville and Western Carolina. So we've took more of a notice to it, which is wrong. There's a lot of things going on around the country that we probably need to do a better job of. But I started to just panic myself. Every hour was getting worse and worse. And I come home from work. We obviously my main priority was trying to make sure the players were okay. They were on cold meals. They had no power in their dorms. They were going a little stir crazy. And so we were trying to work with them. But as soon as I got out of Gardner-Webb and I got home, I just started to panic myself. And there was another person that popped into my head and, I better check on them. And then you were getting one ticks on one WhatsApp, or you couldn't get through to them on any kind of social media platform. And I was getting myself worked up. So I spoke to our associate head coach, Joe Barber, and I said, I think we need to go. And I know it's dangerous, but I just feel like I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for Asheville City. Obviously, my wife's family is from Asheville. It's a massive part of our lives. And so I felt like I needed to go. So we got a Gardner-Webb minibus, and we put about $2,000 worth of food and water, gas in there. And we went. And it was an eye-opening journey to see, especially on the outskirts in Swannanoa and Black Mountain, just how you just don't realize how bad it is. And, we were able to get some small messages of what some certain people needed, people that weren't connected with me, that, were in the community that some of our friends were living in, mothers that had no formula, or, old age pensioners with no things that they need. It was horrific. Massively eye-opening.
So with all of this now that you've seen, how bad was it?
It was as bad. It was as bad as what you've seen on social media. A lot of the places that are underwater, that have washed away businesses and homes. There's young children out there with firemen that are still unsure where their parents are. It's just horrific. And then there's some parts of Asheville that, you wouldn't know, more towards Candler, you wouldn't sort of notice that there has been a storm, which is crazy. So there's power there now, and I think some gas stations are open, but it seems like no one there even realizes, because they can't connect with people on the outskirts or in the River Arts District. They can't connect with those people to see how bad it really is for them. So it just seems like right now it's so scattered in terms of communication and where everybody needs to be and when everyone needs to help. And that's why we tried to travel to as many different areas as we could to see exactly what the damage was and who needed help the most. Just horrific, some of the things that we've seen. And again, just like even hugging people, like the way that they squeezed you and just made you feel like giving them a case of water was like as if they'd won the lottery. These guys have not had water for days, for 2-3 days. And just unbelievable scenes, honestly.
Are you going back?
Yeah. So I started a donation link, and we racked up a lot of money. So we're trying to figure out what organizations really been able to get to certain areas of Asheville right now. And then we're going to go back, and I basically have on my social media as many people that can message me with their addresses, what they need, and basically just kind of taxi drive around as best as possible. I'd reached out to Mick on our way. He said he was okay right now and he was safe, but we'll check in with him again, check in with any of his international guys, that are struggling right now too, that are probably staying with some host families. I know that they're looking to move to UNC Charlotte. So anything that we can do as an institution, Gardner-Webb has been fantastic with UNC Ashford as well. And then I don't want to forget, obviously where I live in Spartanburg, Greenville is in the same situation. USC Upstate, Scott at USC Upstate, I think that the emergency services teams are actually working out of USC Upstate right now. So they're obviously going through it as well. Just any way I can help. And I know giving the donation to an organization that can maybe reach more people is probably the best thing to do. But just, I guess there's part of me that's just kind of wanting to try and get there quicker. We don't know how long it's going to take these organizations to round up everything and get supplies to people, where I can just jump in the car right now and we can get there. And I know it's only going to help 50 to 100 people versus 1,000 people, but that's kind of where we're at mentally right now. We're just hitting panic mode all the time.
Because at the same time, those 50 to 100, you're getting direct contact with them. You are eyes and feet on the ground, and you're able to see, and your knowledge of Asheville with your wife's ties and everything, you know those pockets to hit. So I understand where you're coming from there about saying, okay, look, and by the way, at Scott Wells 1988 on the 280 character app, and whatever, by the time we go, all the other places where you are, I want to get that out there too. But I get it. The idea of, okay, I can throw things into a Gardner-Webb, minibus, minivan, what have you, and I can drive up there because I know the roads, I know where I can go, I know where I can dodge, and I know how to get to places where others who aren't familiar with Western North Carolina are not, especially with 26 really being the only two-way in and out of there right now, because you can't go from Asheville North, you can't go from Asheville west to North Carolina to Tennessee, because that's shut down, and only eastbound I-40 is open still, right?
Yeah, I-40 is. We went through I-26, which was probably the quietest that I've ever seen going in, and probably the busiest I've ever seen going out. But I-26 is open right now, and we are able to get there. And that's an important part of it, is we are able to get there, and I feel somewhat safe now to get there. So we should be, and it's not just me though. You know, the other people that were on the road when we were driving in they're doing the same thing. There's people all over. You know, I've got one of my players at Gardner-Webb. His dad is flying in from California to help, because you know there are a lot of people there that are wanting to do it. So I-26 is open, and you can get there if people are willing and able to do so.
What do people still need?
Well, they seem to be running out of water very, very quickly. We took 100 cases, and we're already hearing that a lot of people are needing more water, baby formula, food that doesn't need to be refrigerated, obviously. You know, that's a gas for the generators. I don't know any updates today of what areas have power, water. I'm sure the power services are working as hard as they can. I've been told yesterday that it could be up to 4 more weeks before power is restored and water supplies are restored in certain areas. So yeah, I would say, you know, water right now is crucial. And you know, the families with children with as much snacks as possible, as much food as possible, and fruits and different things like that.
When it comes to having conversations with your own players and everyone inside the university at Gardner-Webb, since you've been there and come back and you know what's going on, what are those conversations like where you're having to deliver some real nasty real world stuff to individuals who are either 18 to 22 or they're on campus who haven't seen what you've seen? What are those conversations like?
Yeah, my boys have been fantastic. You know, they've asked me every day, because obviously they know my family's from Asheville, but they've asked the staff every day how they can help. You know, I've had players that wanted to travel with me, you know, to help in Asheville. And then you've got this really difficult situation right now where we're in season, right? And we're having a really good season. And do you lose the momentum right now? And, you know, going into this weekend to start playing again. But then kind of flipping it and thinking about what's important right now. And our boys have done a good job. We've started training again. We didn't train for a week. And those guys are, you know, have been without power. And so they've kind of experienced a little bit of it. And we've got a lot of freshmen from countries that have never experienced this before as well. So talking to them consistently through, you know, what's going on and how we can help and affect things. But also understanding that it's a balance, that one of the reasons why I'm doing this, one of the reasons why, you know, we've been able to affect people is because of soccer, you know, because it is bringing a lot of people together right now. The coaches, the donations that I received, you would not believe how many college coaches across the country have been the ones that have donated. So it's beautiful to see that soccer is bringing us together for something different than just being on the field right now. But of course, I think that the boys, including the UNC Asheville boys, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm praying they can get to back to some normality as well, where we can start playing and feel like things are trending in the right direction.
How wide-ranging have the conversations been amongst the soccer community to you? I mean, I imagine you've got a WhatsApp group that's blowing up, email, you know, text. How wide-ranging are we talking from folks reaching out to come and catch up with you?
I mean, everywhere, from the West Coast coaches all the way through the East Coast. You know, they between myself and my associate head coach, Joe Barber, they have been, I mean, when we were driving to Asheville, every 2-3 minutes we were getting donations, and it was college coaches we both knew, you know, Tony and Ann at South Carolina reaching out consistently, you know, people like that. There's been so many coaches out there that have reached out, and I am so appreciative of it, and it makes me understand that what I was doing was the right thing and everyone's on the same page. And yes, we're in season right now and we're enjoying it, but everyone stepped aside to share their considerations for us and for Asheville and for the whole of Western North Carolina. So yeah, it's been eye-opening. There's some really massive positives to take away from it, and I've learned so much as well, because this is probably one of the first, you know, natural disasters that I've had direct contact with. You know, so yeah, it's good.
Have you been scared at all?
I was scared for a while. We couldn't reach out to a lot of people. We couldn't get hold of anybody. Even once some service was coming back to certain people, there was still so many people unaccounted for. Family, Asheville City family, friends, previous players. So I was scared at that point, and then I was a little me and Joe were a little nervous getting on the road to Asheville. That was a little nerve-wracking. Not sure what we were going to see. When you're going through some of the mountain roads that are almost gone and deteriorated, and having to drive super close to the middle of the road because there is no outside of the road. There was some nerve-wracking moments, but yeah, I'm just super appreciative that everyone's safe, that we have been able to reach, and I'm just devastated for the families that have lost loved ones, and have lost their homes and their businesses. We're just doing all we can right now to try and play a small part in that.
What have you and those closest to you learned about yourselves, not athletically or anything like that, or as coaches, but what do you think you've learned about yourselves as people? Did you learn something that you might not have known? Are you stronger than you thought you might have been?
I unfortunately think I'm more selfish than I realized I was. I said this over Twitter the other day that, my happiness is dictated by wins and losses. I mean, I truly mean that. I mean, me and you obviously know each other through being in season, and that's all I think about 24/7. And, my success for my family, for everything, evolves around winning and losing soccer games, and kind of made me feel a little sick, to be honest with you, thinking about how my first initial thought before I realized how bad this was I was upset we couldn't get the Furman game in. I was upset that we potentially weren't going to be able to play Winthrop, and that's it disappointed me. But I'm glad that I've learned something about what is important. And of course, once we get the ball rolling here and we do get back to some normality, I will, be back into that obsession mode again. We will probably talk through the season and then the USL2 season, and life goes on. But I want to continue to keep remembering that, even though I can maybe only reach 50 to 100 people the other day, or maybe next week, or whenever it may be, that's still important. And that should mean more than what it has done to me in the past. Because I've always been concentrated on how do I win games, or how do I recruit better players, or how do I develop better players. I need to shift my mindset a little bit. There's no reason why I can't do both. And it doesn't have to be about natural disaster right now. It can be about mental health, checking in with people that aren't associated or going to benefit my career, So yeah, I've learned a little bit of some poor traits that I have, I think. And I think maybe, a lot of people have reached out to me since I put that up on social media and say, maybe we all need to do that a little bit. Life gets crazy and we forget those things. But for sure, it was massively eye-opening to me, that my mind never shifts towards, okay, what can I do to be helping someone other than myself, or other than my team, or other than my success as a coach. So yeah, that would probably be, unfortunately, one of the biggest things I've learned through all of this.
Well, but it's also 50 to 100 people that might not have been able to be reached in other ways if you hadn't been the person to reach out, though. Yeah,
no, for sure. And I am extremely proud of that. And, kudos to my wife, who's also, she's been the one buying everything that everyone needs. And they've been reaching out to her as well. And again, my staff here at Gardner-Webb, my players, the university, the AD, the president, everyone's been super supportive. I'm just glad to be part of it. And I want to continue, because this is not going to go away next month. Asheville is going to take years to rebuild in certain areas.
All right.
And so we want to figure that out.
All right. So, and this is also part of why I want to do these kinds of things. Taylor's with us. And so go ahead and hydrate, Scott. Taylor Morton, Lees-McRae. He's now hanging out with us. I wanted to start, Taylor, with the conversation today with Scott. Scott, Taylor, Scott. You get to see each other.
How are you, Scott? Yeah. We just texted each other yesterday. Yeah. I actually reached out to Taylor's mom, because he was one of the persons that I was concerned about I had not heard from. And I'd sent him a couple of messages, and I got the one text on WhatsApp. And so I reached out to his mom, and she said that him and his brother were okay. And again, that's it. Every hour it was somebody different that I haven't heard from, and I was panicking. So it's amazing to be on here with you right now.
excited to see you, man. John, thank you for having us. But
absolutely,
I just can't even express to see your face, Scott. It's one of those things that, like you said, and you can't. You're on the mountain, you can't get a call out, can't get a text out, seeing 1 6, not 2, those types of things where you just never know who's safe, never know who's okay. And until you finally feel able to see each other, that's kind of when you know finally that everybody's safe. So,
yeah. And like I said, this is part of why I want to do these kinds of things. And we're going to be doing this as long as we need to when it comes to all of this, because Scott, what you said, I was reaching out to Taylor's mom. That traditionally that initial response is, Taylor's mom is getting, reached out to in these kinds of things. But I'm going to say this, and this is going to be part of our ideas going forward here. As long as we are here, and we need to continue the message going forward. And as long as we can continue to have Scott see Taylor and Taylor see Scott, and and catch up with Mick and Andy at NC Asheville and find out what's going on at Montreat, because I know that right now that is a black hole of information because of what's going on there on campus. And Upstate, and Scott, you mentioned what's going on at Upstate, Presbyterian, Mars Hill, and I know that the coach at Mars Hill only goes into campus like one time a day, answers email, and then he's got to get out. So I'm going to open this up to you guys as well. If there's anybody in your coaching chain up there, doesn't matter the level in North Carolina or South Carolina or whatever, if there's anybody that we need to try to reach out to have them on so they can let everybody know what's going on, it's open status. Doors open. Like seriously, Scott, I mean, text me, you got my number, those kinds of things, reach out. Scott, before we send you a way to get hydrated and probably caffeinated for the day, where can folks reach out to help out with you and what you're trying to do and getting back into Asheville when you can from Gardner-Webb? How can they help?
Yeah, my Instagram, Life at the Web, and then obviously at Scott Wells 1988 on Twitter. There's a donation link on there. It's just a Venmo link right now. We're trying to update everybody that's donating on what we're doing with the funds. And so far, we've made one trip. We're looking at the organizations that we want to make sure we can reach out to the right areas of Asheville and the outskirts of Asheville, and in terms of what organizations are helping in different areas. And then, of course, Boone, Banner Elk, Greenville, areas that are also being affected right now. So myself and my wife are working on exactly what that looks like, and we'll keep you updated. The outpour right now of support has been unbelievable. There are, you said most of the names that I was thinking of. I do know Daniel Ridenhour at Winthrop, his students, even though they're on the outskirts of Charlotte, they've been sleeping in their gymnasium, their students. Manuel Perez at Warren Wilson, who just took the job. It's his first head coaching position. So he's probably going through quite a lot right now, trying to navigate that. But yeah, I would be sure to reach out to you as soon as we know any more updates. And Taylor, please let me know how I can help you as well.
And obviously, Scott, if you want to bring them on and it's like, hey, I want to bring on so-and-so so folks can actually see this person so they know they're okay, so they can continue, if I could get my upper plate to work this morning, can continue to play this game of telephone that we have right now about, okay, you're here. Scott, thanks for dropping by this morning. I really appreciate it. Be safe. Do not be a stranger. And I mean that seriously. Duck in anytime you think that we need to know something about what's going on. Like you're making a run. Hey, I need to tell folks. So seriously, reach out at any time, my friend.
Yeah, I will. Thanks so much, John. Appreciate you having me on and highlighting exactly the severity of this. And Taylor, take care and text me when you need me. Okay.
Absolutely. You too, man.
All right. All right, be good. That's Scott. All right, Taylor, first off, where are you and how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm currently in Concord. Came down to see my girlfriend before making a trip back up the mountain today. So down here visiting her before we pack the car up and head up that way.
First question, since this is your first time circling in with us. So where were you when Helene came through, and what was it like riding the storm out and coming out the other side? Where were you when all of this went down?
So I was actually on Beach Mountain. So about 10, 15 minutes more up the mountain than Banner Elk, where Lees-McRae is located, and actually couldn't really get around much of anywhere, with trees being down, roads being washed out, all these kinds of things. For the first 2 days, really couldn't get to anywhere, so it was kind of having to just utilize what we had in the house at the moment to kind of be able to get by. And then luckily, the community was unbelievable in terms of how they responded and how they reacted initially, and jumped straight on, people that had chainsaws, immediately cutting down trees. Had guys that were running trucks with dirt and rocks, trying to go and fill up 30-foot sinkholes, things like that, where it was just go nonstop, just to try to make sure that people had access to roads so that they could get actually to the top of the mountain, and be able to actually get different types of food and water and that kind of stuff. So it was pretty unreal to have to go through it and kind of see what was going on. I can't imagine how other people are doing right now as well.
When things are where they are right now, how many trips have you made back since? Are you doing what Scott is doing, trying to shuttle necessities up right now? What is your role, and what are you doing right now trying to stay in touch with everybody at Lees-McRae?
So for the past day, I've been trying to go to food drives and help with loading trucks, loading foods, taking and buying stuff so I could donate it to the food drives and start to work on filling those trucks. I mean, there's a gentleman by the name of JT Stillwell who's actually been loading up airplanes and helicopters and things like that. He does event management in Pinehurst, and is someone that has been very close to me from my time of growing up in Pinehurst for a little bit, and went to help him with trying to help with that organization, trying to load up those planes, those airplanes. People are bringing horse trucks and loading those. I mean, people are doing everything they can just to be able to load those. So I've been trying to load that, and then been trying to get the new information about where we're going, what the next steps are for us, and trying to figure out how to get all that out to all the guys and all the players. And then today I'm planning on making a trip back up to Banner Elk with a bunch of hopeful goods and things like that to help out. So
I was going to ask about communication inside the team and the university and the athletic program. How difficult is it to keep track with everyone? Where are things right now with communicating, making sure that everybody's safe?
So right now it's tough just because everybody's kind of here, there, everywhere, trying to, I mean, every coach that I've spoken to is trying to either get back to the mountain or trying to do something that they can with loading a truck to send it off to the mountain or something like that. Everybody's trying to do something that they can to try to make sure that everybody has what they need. But then in terms of the college itself, we have a bunch of our administrators who actually weren't on the mountain when things all kind of happened. And they've been able to communicate from remote areas and all that kind of good stuff to tell us the next steps of how we're going to continue a season and all those kinds of things. So
how much of I asked Scott this toward the end of our first talk this morning. Taylor Morton, the men's head coach at Lees-McRae, hanging out with us here in hour number one. What have you been able to learn about yourself? Not as a coach or anything like that, but are you stronger than you thought you were? What have you learned about yourself in this process, trying to sit there and navigate all these different things, trying to help out, trying to make sure that your players are accounted for, you know what's going on at the university, all these different things that you have to manage all at one time? What have you learned about yourself, you think?
I don't know. There's an element to it where you kind of, it's odd to say, but you kind of realize how selfish you can be at times, and you kind of realize what your normal thoughts are. I mean, a lot of people would do things like go straight and think about games and things like that. And I honestly didn't even think about the season or anything like that until I got fully off the mountain. And then someone had mentioned like, hey, we might be moving you guys to a different campus to kind of figure out the next steps in the season. So it's been a lot to learn. It's been a lot to kind of figure out, a lot to do. But with it being first time as a head coach here at Lees-McRae, it's definitely been something new to have to work through. But I'm just happy that I can be at my alma mater and trying to figure things out and help however I can. So it's definitely been an interesting experience.
What about Callie on the women's side? Have you been able to catch up with her and find out what's going on?
Briefly, but nothing too crazy. I know she was impacted pretty big as well. They had some stuff happen with their cars and with their house as well. So I know that she's been trying to get that figured out. And mainly the communication with her has been just trying to make sure that she's safe, she's okay. And then also with the next steps of us moving to a different location so that we can play the season and those types of things.
What is the latest on that? Making sure that once things are, back where it is safe to navigate and safe to function, what are they telling you about the rest of the season?
So as of right now, the plan is for us to go and travel to Ferrum College. I know that a couple other teams are going to Queens College. Queens and Ferrum have been unbelievable in terms of the outreach and the help that they've been offering and providing for us. So we are actually going to men's soccer, women's soccer. I believe it's men's basketball, cross country. We are all actually going to move to Ferrum College, live in the dorm rooms of Ferrum College, and potentially be using that as a home field, and then try to continue the season on from there. So try to figure out away games, home games, if they're going to be at Ferrum or a neutral site around Ferrum's campus. But they've been nice enough to actually open up their dorms so that we can put all of the student athletes in that dorm and still continue with the season while all the restoration is going on around Lees-McRae.
How, and this is my geographic naivete in all of this, how easy is access to Ferrum as opposed to Lees-McRae right now? I mean, can you get there considering the interstate situation in Western North Carolina? How easy is it to navigate to Ferrum and or Queens?
Yeah, so I haven't tried to quite get back from Charlotte to Bannerell to tell you specifically exactly how that looks from Queens to there.
Right.
I know that roads have gotten better, but then they're kind of closing some on and off to continue with the repairs and things like that. So the initial little spell of getting out of Banner Elk is tougher. But once you're out of Banner Elk, some of those are actually still okay. So not anticipating a whole lot of pushback on the drive up to Ferrum or from Queens.
What do folks need from Banner Elk and your interactions? What do folks need, and how can folks help out with what you're trying to get accomplished up there and everybody there at Lees-McRae? What do folks need?
So some of the biggest things that I'm seeing is the things that you don't normally think about. There are animals up there, so there people are asking for dog food, horse food, cat food, things like that. People are asking for diapers, products. Formula is a really big one that I'm hearing. Diesel fuel for generators. Water is a big one as well. All those types of things that you wouldn't normally think are an immediate necessity are being really requested. So, but diesel fuel, water, and formulas are the big ones that I've been hearing so far.
When you look back to when Helene first came through to now, does it seem like it was yesterday? Does it seem like it was a week ago? How in addition to how are you feeling because of everything? Because I would firmly anticipate that the amount of sleep that you've gotten has been minimal at best. Yeah. Trying to keep up with everything, trying to keep up with everyone, all of this, does it seem like it was yesterday? Does it seem like it was a week ago? How are you holding up?
To me, honestly, it still kind of feels like it's here, like it's still in the day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just with you still have all the emotions of everything that you've gone through, everything that you've seen, all the people that and stories that you've heard and things like that, to where you're still getting these bits of information that make it feel like it's still here. And like Scott said, this isn't something that's just going to go away this month, next month kind of thing. It's going to be here for a while. And it just kind of feels like we're still in it, and it still feels like day one, honestly. I think that I got off the mountain on Tuesday, was the first day that I was able to get back, and still to this day, just kind of started figuring out what day it was, just because it all kind of blended together, because you're not really sleeping all that great because you're still hearing the winds and those types of things. So it still kind of feels like day one, but doing better than the initial thought was. So
for anyone that will hear this, is seeing this, will catch a replay, what would you tell those of us who are here in the Southeast, got to hear what's going on with you and Scott today, got to catch up with Mick and Andy at NC Asheville earlier this week. What would you tell folks who might be ducking into the story here for the first time, knowing what they've seen Weather Channel stuff, but I mean specifically you and Lees-McRae, and with what Scott's going through with Gardner-Webb? What would you tell folks right now about what you're having to navigate, what folks are having to navigate in Western North Carolina? What do folks need to know?
I think the biggest thing is just making sure that you can help in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's starting a food drive, whether it's helping with the local fire department, making sure that they have the needs that they have, or have everything that they need. All those kinds of things that are just trying to find some way to make an impact. I think that a lot of people kind of it's a bit unknown, and as weird as that is to say, but doing things like starting a food drive, doing things like trying to help with raising the awareness, raising water, getting all those types of things together so that they can be shipped out into where it needs to go. Because it's as much as I think about Lees-McRae and Banner Elk, this isn't just Banner Elk and Asheville and those types of areas. This is big impact. So I think that it's just trying to do whatever you can to get it to the closest area that you're near, whether that be due West South Carolina. I know their coach is kind of going through it as well. So just those types of things, that setting up food drives, whatever you can to help is phenomenal.
Okay. Thank you first and foremost for catching your breath with us and letting know what's going on. As I told Scott as he was leaving us this morning for the first time, I don't want this to be the first and only time that you're here. If you got something to say, raise your hand, text me, DM me, shoot me an email, do whatever. Let me know what's going on with Carly if she needs to come on to talk about things, because the circle that we think we have can be even larger as we continue to share information, because you never know who you're going to touch. So I would just ask you going forward that if you come across another campus, come across another coach, come across another sport, what have you, reach out. If you need to duck back in and let everybody know what's going on, give folks an update, because I know that folks are caring about what's going on with you, with Lees-McRae, with Banner Elk, everything up there in Western North Carolina. Don't be afraid to reach out at any time. Hey, dude, I need to duck in for a couple of minutes and update folks on A, B, C, D, or E, okay? Just do that for me.
Absolutely.
And catch your breath, get caffeinated a little bit, and just, like I said, just be safe, please, and be as safe as you can. And I know that you and Scott are trying to reach out. If you're touching 50 to 100 people, that's 50 to 100 that might not have been reached out to in any other way directly with what you guys are doing. Thanks for being a part of the community that you are right now up there. And I know being a first-time head coach and doing all this kind of stuff, it is lessons I don't think you ever thought that you would learn, right?
No, it definitely isn't, but I'm happy to be doing it. And thank you for everything you're doing. And thank you for trying to do as much as you can to spread the awareness. You've got an unbelievable platform, and to know that this is what you're doing with it means a lot to us, means a lot to the people that are in need. And I can't even begin to thank you for what you're doing and the words that you're getting out.
So it's what we're here for, my friend. So just be safe, and we will catch up with you when you need to catch up with us. Don't be afraid to open the door and knock on it and sit there and go, yo, Nelson, I need a couple of minutes. All right, be safe, okay? We'll catch up soon.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.